guys. So, right into it. This is my 2 year weightlifting body transformation. This is from me weightlifting. I feel like it's a bit misleading because it says weightlifting, but this really is really the encompass of weightlifting, running, and then like some calisthenics here and there, and also doing like a bit of sports work and a bunch of this. But most of the progress that I've made is mostly from weightlifting. Right into it. First one, this is me whenever I first started. So this is me in January of 2022, so roughly about 2 years ago. This is how I looked. I was 220, probably no more than like 5'6", and I was 220 pounds. And honestly, it's crazy to think about. Like literally this fat. Like I remember the days. These were the days that I would just sit home and binge eat, not because I was hungry, but because I had nothing better to do. I I really, it feels like I came a long way considering where I used to be at, where I literally used to just stuff my face until literally I feel like I was about to puke. I had this massive binge eating disorder. And at the beginning of this year, I took a picture and I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm ready to start. I'm ready to make progress. And so I started running. I didn't really weightlift yet, but I started to just mostly run outside like almost every single day. I would run. And then I started doing like HIIT training where I did like push-ups and I did jumping jacks and mostly that stuff. Then now we're going to July. So to give you guys some information, roughly about June is whenever I started going to the gym. We went to Disney World and there was like this little we stayed at this place that had like this little like gym area, and I just started working out there for the week we were there. And then they had like this Planet Fitness thing where you could work out there for a week. And by the way, at this point, I already lost a little bit of weight. I didn't put it on here, but there was actually a picture of me with a big smile on my face because I was able to fit a large shirt, which but previously before I was an XL, but I was fitting in a large shirt and it fit pretty well on me. And that felt amazing. This is the time, like, listen, I've lost over 20 pounds at this point, just under 200 pounds. I look really silly in this picture because I don't, I don't know. I just, I was like trying to flex so hard. And in this picture, it's so crazy. Like, that's how my back used to look. It used to look like I used to have an hourglass shaped physique. Like, I don't know. It's so crazy to look back on it. Like, look at how your body used to look. And look, I didn't even have like so this, I think this is in, I don't know if these are both in July. I think this is in around May. No, this is in July, and then this is in June. And so I was still cutting, by the way. I was still trying to lose weight, still trying to cut weight. But then this is whenever I actually started to put muscle on instead of the fat. And at this point, like I said, I was mostly just, this is whenever I actually started like a bit of weightlifting, but mostly still a shit ton of cardio. So right into it. Next one is December of 2022, end of 2022. And so this is me after it's so crazy like compared to the last picture. I mean, like, let's look at that. This picture right here, this picture on the left of me, and then this picture, the same picture, same style picture. And what I actually notice is, which is really weird, is that for the longest time I've always had a thick neck. Like it's so weird. It's like I've always had kind of a thick neck. It's never been something I had to work out on. I never worked out. I've never worked out my neck. It's just always been quite thick. And so hold on, let me put this down. Oh, did not mean to do that. Oop, accidentally went forward. So this is me. I was around 180 pounds. A little, I still had bits of, why is this doing this? Okay, I still had a little bit of fat, as you can tell. My forearms and my arms start to actually get definition at this point because I actually start taking the gym seriously at this point. Like it was around the beginning of the school year where I really started to actually go to the gym and take it seriously. I started going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, started to train. My back was getting some definition, as you can see over here. It was amazing time of me just going to the gym like late at night, just going early in the morning, like just always going to the gym. And I don't know, it was just I could look back with like fond memories, as you can see. And this is whenever I actually started fixing my nutrition. So obviously you can tell there's a big jump from here, from these pictures to this one. It wasn't only because I actually started almost solely only doing weightlifting. I started weightlifting 4 or 5 times a week, and then running on the days I wasn't weightlifting. But it was also due to the fact that I was actually, one, improving my sleep, and two, I was actually eating more protein. And the other pictures that I was showing you guys, like I had like these meal replacement bars that I drank, but like that's like the only protein. Like I wasn't really getting a whole lot of protein. And here I was actually meal prepping. I was actually making chicken and rice, and I was eating it almost every single goddamn day. I was micromanaging everything, trying to find the right calorie intake, and I was like extremely disciplined. I mean, I'm disciplined now, but I don't have to be as disciplined because I'm bulking now. But I was extremely disciplined at this point, which I was really surprised of, because in this picture I was 16 years old, and I don't know. Considering the person that I was, like literally earlier that year, it was amazing looking back on how disciplined I was to just losing weight, and how consistent I was in the gym. And by the way, this is the time whenever people started to actually say stuff like, "Oh, you play sports." Like, I don't know. It's so, whenever you get to that point, whenever people are like, "Oh, do you play sports?" You're always just like, "Oh my God!" Like I made it, boys. Like it, it's it's crazy, man. Like, whenever you, like, I showed you guys those pictures. Like whenever you used to be like that big kid, that really fat kid that no one expect anything from, and you look and you start to get actual positive affirmations from other people. It really does feel like, it was worth it. So right into it. So June 2023, this is whenever I started to, okay, I lost a little bit more weight, but I actually started putting on more muscle at the same time. So as you can see, I actually look a little bigger in this picture, and you can actually see my abs a little clearer, because I was actually, you can also see my veins pop out and stuff, because I was actually, I was doing a sort of recomp. This is whenever I started doing Mike Mincer's training, and I started to train like one set to failure. And what I started to notice was is that I was still losing weight, because I was, by the way, I was going out like outside for like 2 3 hours every single day, just walking and stuff. I was outside, and this is when I started my job, started getting more steps in, and at this point, I was I was really like just doing whatever like I felt like. It wasn't like I knew, I thought to myself, like, I don't really need to lose any more weight. I really can just, I was still trying to figure out, like, do I want to bulk? Because, to be honest with you, I was kind of afraid to bulk, because I, I had this conception that, as somebody who was a fat kid, I was afraid that I was going to become fat again. I mean, I don't really think it's something most people talk about, because, a lot of the times it's vice versa. It's normally like a skinny kid who's trying to bulk up. But a lot of the times, whenever I was at this point in my life, I was like, do I want to bulk? Because I was simply afraid of bulking, because I was afraid of getting fat again, of being in that place. In those pictures I showed you before, I was scared of that. And so right now, at this point in these pictures, I was kind of like, I was eating food. I was kind of being like a little more laid back to what I ate, but I was mostly just moving like a shit ton. Like I was like boxing, I was doing jump rope, I was running outside for hours a day, I was going to the gym, it was really the Mike Mincer training, where I started weightlifting going like 2 3 times a week. And then in the free time, like I said, I would just go outside. Like I was just enjoying summer. I was enjoying the summertime, really. So these pictures are actually not at the same time. I know it's a little misconceiving. This is in June. This is in near the end of July. So it's about a month and a half difference. So, and that's why I know I look a little bulkier in this picture than in this one, because at this point, I kind of came to the conception that, you know what, I'm gonna start to bulk a little bit. So December of 2023. I know you guys are gonna be like, okay, this looks very different from the pictures before. But at this point, I was actually training to run with a, I was actually training to run with a track team, because, like I said, it stopped coming to a point where I was like, it's bulking, cutting, bulking, cutting, bulking, cutting for aesthetics. It came more down to like, I'm gonna train just because I love working out. I'm gonna love working out, and so at this point in time, I actually like started to get a little smaller. I was staying the same size. I got a little bit taller at this point. I actually went from like, I think 5'7" to more so like 5'9". I actually grew a little bit. And then I actually started to just try to train my own way. Like I it was a period of time for probably, like, I'd say roughly about November to December-ish, is whenever I started to just train, like just kind of doing whatever I want. Like I was still doing Mike Mensor's training, but I was also running a lot because if there's anything you need to know about me is that I really do love running. Like running's really close to my heart. Same thing with cycling. And at this point, I was like I said, I was running. I was supposed to be bulking, but I was like running and stuff, and I ended up losing a little bit of weight, a little bit of mass. But honestly, I didn't really care because I felt fucking amazing. Like I mean, especially like considering looking at these pictures compared to how I used to look, like I felt fucking amazing, bro. And so once this period was over, like once this period of me trying to, I don't know, me trying to fit this cutting bulking, and me just doing whatever I want, I I kind of stopped running because I was like, okay, I don't want to lose too much of my muscle. And this is whenever this goes into the next picture of me in February. So from like end of December to now to February now, like these pictures are current pictures of me. I started to bulk more. I started to add a lot more weight to my training, and I started to use Mike Mister's training, but also like kind of throw in my own like what I've learned. Because I will tell you guys is that the best way for you to actually formulate your own program is to simply just go out there and try stuff. Like I started learning that maybe I don't really like deadlifts that much, and I don't really feel like deadlifts are were insanely beneficial for my back. So I started doing more so of like rowing movements, started doing weighted pull-ups, started doing other movements. I still do deadlifts, don't get me wrong, but I don't do it for only my back. I do it for normally something else. And so this is a picture of me in late January, and this is a picture of me actually yesterday at the gym after we had a back and chest workout. And like this is where I started to get back into like I'm going to do classic training while also starting to do more boxing training. So I started doing a lot more jump ropes, so you can start to see my abs a little bit more. My veins are popping out, and I will tell you guys is that what you're going to learn from starting your fitness journey is that you're. Let me hide this. What you're going to learn from whenever you start your fitness journey is that there's going to be muscles that are just going to be naturally way better than other muscles. Like as you guys can see, my arms are definitely a massive strong point for my body. So is my back. I have a pretty good back considering how long I've been training for. And there's going to be things like I said that are going to just be higher than other things. But don't be upset at this. Like I used to be upset that my chest was not growing at the same speed that the rest of my body was growing, but it's probably just due to the fact that I wasn't training chest as the same I was training back and biceps. So if there's anything I would tell you guys, by the way, I'm 180 now, obviously in this picture you can see, but if there's anything I would tell myself in this beginning picture right here, anything I would tell him is that be okay with struggling right now. Like, let me tell you guys, like, it's easy for you to look at these pictures and then like say like, oh yeah, he made like this progress, he made this progress, and then you almost feel a bit envious and jealous, and like maybe you feel a certain way from looking at the pictures because I know this because that's the way I felt from looking at other people's pictures. But let me tell you guys that like it was a struggle, and I feel like honestly, from January 2022 to probably July, I was running a lot, I was trying a lot, but I wasn't really taking my workouts too seriously. I wasn't really, I was mostly focusing on running, which was great. I feel like that's a big integral part of like this progress. But I felt like I could have gained muscle a lot quicker if I would have simply taken my workouts more seriously because I was training kind of like a pussy to be honest with you. I was lifting a weight and I stopped lifting whenever it felt uncomfortable rather than whenever I actually felt like it was time for failure. Now, obviously, I figured this out later on around this time, but I think I could have made a lot more progress, a lot more muscle progress if I actually started taking my workouts seriously in the gym. And like I said, like I even have it like on my wall over here is it's okay to suffer now if it's worth it in the end. I think that's a really important part, guys, is that if you're struggling, like if you're in somewhere of the similar circumstances I was in at this point, then I will tell you guys that you got to be okay with the fact that right now it's going to suck. You're going to go to your workouts, you're going to be running, and you're going to feel your fat like flopping up and down, and you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be self conscious. You're going to go take pictures, and you're not going to notice any progress. But you have to enjoy the struggle, man. I took so many pictures of myself throughout this period of time of of this fitness transformation. And there were so many of them where I looked the exact same. There's so many of them even up to these points where I looked bigger in some pictures than I didn't than in pictures previously. But let me tell you that it's a really rocky journey. It's not going to be like this linear path that a lot of you think of. It's more of like a stepping stool. It's like there's it's not only about like how you physically change, but how you mentally grow in the, in in the time, man. It's like in these pictures here, like I was a completely different person than in the pictures here. But at the end of the day, this version of myself right here that I'm looking at right now was so tired of being in this spot that they were in before that he decided to actually make a change. Like I said, guys, it takes time. It's 2 years now. I don't look like a Greek god, but I look way better than I did fucking before. If you guys have any questions about losing weight or anything, leave it in the comments. I'll feel free to ask me. I'll be glad to answer any questions you guys have. That's all I have for you boys. Thank you for watching.